All right, everybody. Welcome to Reality's Breakdown with the Heretic Clerics. Tonight we have with us presiding the Iron Chariot, Sir Jewelot, Matt the Apoplectic Atheist, and myself the Belligerent Atheist. I don't know how many guests tonight, but make sure you stick around for the end for the Atheist Spotlight, where we will highlight one atheist and talk about why we think they're awesome. Tonight is going to be Thanatophobia, fear of death, be hosted by Matt the Apoplectic Atheist. And Matt, would you go ahead and start us off, please?
Yeah, if you don't mind loading the first link I have on the slide, I'll get started. Thanatophobia is actually sort of, lately means an abnormal fear of death. So I'll go into kind of my story on it, and it kind of coincides with my becoming an atheist and whatnot. Just a second, I'll get that link. There's going to be more links coming, so let me know now if you're going to need them. Anyways, so I'll just launch into my story I wrote, because it's a lot easier for me to gather my thoughts. I wrote it down, so if it seems like I'm reading something, that's exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so I've always thought of and questioned religion and mortality. I came to the realization around 7 to 8 years old that I was just like a machine or an electronic device. Me sleeping was like being shut off, and me dying would be like me breaking for good. I came to this understanding while playing video games one day. When I turned off the game and TV, it just hit me. At the time, I wondered what it was like for God to have made me, and I pictured an assembly line, much like an electronics factory, but with human parts. I had always considered others... Okay, so this is going on a little bit. I had always considered others' emotions and cared for people without ever rationalizing it with religion. Fast forward to my late teens. Coming to terms with the uncaring nature of this world had me thinking, what's this all about? I had cared so much for everyone, and at the same time, it seemed to mean nothing. I wanted to believe my good actions meant something. This led me to explore religion a bit, but in no substantial way. I sort of skimmed over some popular religions and tossed in a fair amount of woo-woo. All the while, I was a huge fan of Penn and Teller's bullshit. This show alone helped me look at things skeptically and toss out a lot of things I knew to be incorrect. This time, I didn't even know the term atheist. I had never heard it. I settled on some sort of new age woo-woo crap, but without crystals or anything like that. Just simply, this can't be all there is, and death can't be the end. And boy, was I wrong. So these ideals carried me into my mid-20s till I finally met my wife. We had been together for about a year when I decided to propose marriage. This was the big changing point in my life. Up until now, I never had anything to lose. I was pretty much at rock bottom as far as I saw it. Now I had the potential for a life and a family to care for and be cared for. This big change made me really reflect and dig deep into my meaning of and for my life. Around this time, my panic attacks started picking up. I'd always had them, especially right before I fell asleep. I never liked the feeling of falling asleep. It made me feel as though I was leaving my body. Little did I know at the time, sleep is described throughout history as a small death or practicing for death. I would be laying in bed with the moonlight streaming in, listening to the breath of my soon-to-be wife, and did my heart just stop pumping for a second? What if I stop breathing or choke? If I close my eyes, will I ever wake up? And then I would basically have a panic attack. So I had started researching religion to find myself around the time these attacks became more frequent. I had already stumbled on the atheist debates, and I was swiftly coming to the dark side. This seemed to make the attacks worse, and I fell into a real state of depression like I had never experienced before or since. I didn't want to do anything but lay around and mourn my life for the fact I will die and others die and everything dies. I would go to work and songs would make me cry on the drive there and back. When I got home, I would put on pajamas and just lay around soaking. I couldn't watch anything that had blood, injury, or death. My wife and I had been working our way through the South Park series, and I had to stop watching at the Britney Spears episode. This one was particularly gory, if anybody remembers it. This lasted for probably 2 weeks. I had to get to the bottom of my fear of death, and it turned out atheism and skepticism was there for me. If you could load the second link, and I'll give it to you if you don't have it. I soon found this site, and what feelings this person described fit mine very well. It's mortals.be. He's a doctor, and he has stories. He had always been coping with death, and the big turning point for him was when his mother died. So if you can load his experience, just scroll down. There'll be an experience link where he basically explains his experience, and then he has a lot of resources on there. It was a relief for me to know I was not alone, and nothing this person said included religion. His experience and his coping mechanisms helped me greatly. It helped me realize death happens to everyone, and others share my struggle. I soon found these videos provided by Yale, which are amazing, and I'll share the link to those. These are called Yale Open Courses. They're free courses provided by Yale. They can be found at this link and on the Yale website, and they're YouTube videos, and they're just amazing. I highly suggest anybody checks them out, even if it's not for the subject. So the Yale Open Courses on death are so eye-opening and interesting, and the way the professor broke it down really meshed with my take on reality. When he had us think about what a soul is and how it would somehow be attached to a living body, it hooked me big time. It was the exact way I was trying to understand things. What is the mechanism and how does it act in reality? If I am like a machine or an electronic device, as I thought since childhood, then I exist in reality and anything affecting me can be measured somehow. So how can we show these spiritual things working and affecting reality? These two sites were the 1-2 punch I needed to kick myself in the ass and get out of this funk. Death was no more riding me like a monkey on my back. Death is like a disease everyone has, and we all struggle with it. Although I wouldn't mind living to 200 to 500 years old, I no longer mourn my finite life or things in time I have missed or will miss. And I'll load another link. Here's the link. And it was as though I worked through the 5 stages of death, but at the age of 25, instead of when I finally get the bad news. And that's it. So I just wanted to give a background as to my outlook on the world, how I realized I was basically like a machine or an electronic device, and that it kind of ties into the Yale courses, how he explains like how we would look at a mechanism that would, like a spiritual mechanism. So anyways, yeah, that's all I got for now. But I have more to it. I just figured I would let you guys ask me things if you had to or not. Hopefully that reading wasn't too dry, but I had to write it down to get everything in order.
No, you had it was a really good story. It was very, very personal. It sounded like your wife was kind of the driving factor that kind of drove you to not only want to do better, and to fix yourself, but to get a deeper understanding of what was going on.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Like I said, up until that point, like I was kind of, like I said, woo-woo religious, and I thought that, this can't be the end and stuff like that, so I didn't really take life seriously. Like, I would party all the time, like, drink till I blacked out and, like, get sick, and, like, I just thought, like, that there was some special force, like, protecting me, or that, like, it wasn't that big a deal because I would go on to heaven or something. And at this point, there were so many things that said, this life is serious. Like, get your shit together and figure out what's going on,
Um, I really enjoyed hearing that, and I think you were right when you said that death is like a disease that we all struggle with, because I know I went through the exact same thing, and there was a time when I would have called myself extremely Christian. And when I started uh, turning to atheism, I know one thing that really helped me is I heard a song where the guy said, energy can never be created or destroyed. So when he died, he was going to be floating around the stars and around the planets, and he's going to get to see everything that humans only dreamed they could see. And that to me was like, yeah, I want to do that. I want to be floating around in space. I want to see other galaxies. I want to see the lowest depths of the ocean. And when I no longer have the limitations of my physical body, I'll be free to do that. So I just thought that was cool. That's something that really helped me uh, get past that whole fear of my own mortality.
Yeah, that's actually on the first link I shared. If you Google and you come across phobias.about.com for the Thanatophobia, it that link especially I wanted to share with people because it touches heavily on the religion aspect of it, and it says basically one of the best ways for coping is to turn to whatever religion you believe in for answers, because which I would like to say that's not the best way to cope with it, but if that's what people need to do to cope, then it's better to be able to cope with it. I think. I mean, I still think everybody should deal in reality, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It was kind of interesting. For me, it just kind of went the other way. I happened to come towards atheism. And the funny thing is the one link I shared about the doctor, the